Good afternoon. I'm Deacon Jay Ruddig, and I wanted to record a video. And it's been almost a week now since the decision on the Dobbs case was made. I think things have settled down a little bit, and I've gotten to read what other people had to say about it. And I thought it'd be a good time for me to reflect on my thoughts on the issue. And in particular, I'm going to talk about abortion and slavery, because each of these reflect major cultural wars in America, and each of them has had a dramatic impact on our nation. So in doing that, I'm gonna start with slavery and talk about it first of all and the impact that it had on the country and still has. So slavery was not included in the Constitution or Bill of Rights when they passed these originally when our country was formed. And the reason why it wasn't is that they couldn't have established the country if they had. The southern states would not have agreed to sign off on it if they did that. So they basically took a pass on the issue of slavery. And that country then became divided between the free states to the north and the slave states to the south. In the slave states, Negroes were property. They had no rights. The owners could do that with them as they wished, including killing them, raping the women, mistreating them. And many times they did, I'm sure. Difficult time. Eventually, about 75 years later or so, we fought a war to end it. And at the end of that war, in 1865, a 13th Amendment to the Constitution was passed. This was passed by Congress, and it was barely passed. And this 13th Amendment then ended slavery. And I'm pretty sure this is kind of a key area that's covered in the Lincoln movie that came out recently. So this was and then after this was passed, even after that, it was a very difficult transition for slaves and for the owners to adapt to the new reality, if you will. And still today, 150 years later, we still feel the impact of that injustice that went on for so long. Okay, now I'm going to switch to the issue of abortion. And abortion was illegal in the U.S. before Roe versus Wade was passed in 1972. And in 1972, when Roe versus Wade was passed, most people in the U.S. opposed abortion. There were few abortions because they were legal, and because people valued human life at that time. We didn't know near what we do today about the baby in the womb. We didn't really understand what was going on there. We didn't have sonograms. We didn't have DNA. Didn't have any of that stuff. And yet, people had a basic understanding that was the baby from the moment of conception. In fact, that's what the Catholic Church has always taught. So then in 1972, then, Roe versus Wade was passed by a 7-2 vote by the Supreme Court. And these were all men on the Supreme Court that passed this. No women were involved in this decision. And this decision was actually made then against the will of the people, because the people wouldn't have voted for it. And it was made by a fairly significant majority, 7-2. This decision then began culture wars in the U.S., which continues today. Now here we are almost 50 years later, and we have the Dobbs decision, which passed by a 5-4 vote, which overturned Roe versus Wade. So now we have a different situation that occurs where it's not the law of the land. Abortion is not the law of the land as it was before, but we have different situations in each state you go into, much like we had in the case of slavery. Now, the issue has to go to the states and ultimately to the people to decide, unless the federal government decides to pass it on national level, like they did with slavery. They could come up with an amendment to the Constitution that either approved abortion or opposed abortion. I heard something yesterday from Catholic Answers where they were talking about Supreme Court justices in particular and this recent decision. And unlike the Roe versus Wade decision, which was a very shaky decision that really didn't have any basis in the Constitution, this decision, which overturned it, was a very well-written decision, and they all felt like it's unlikely the justices would ever override this decision on the basis of law. They could do it on the basis of the fact they're getting pressure from the constituents and so on, and so it's basically a political thing. But then that puts the Supreme Court back again in the middle of this issue. And if they have any sense at all, they're not going to want to get back in the middle of this. So it should be with the people. So now the states are very divided. We have many states that are pro-abortion. They allow abortion any time, for any reason, maybe even after viability. I'm not sure whether they do allow that or not. I think many of them do. In virtually all the states, though, the life of the mother, if the life of the mother is threatened, abortion is allowed. And if you really think about that in terms of ethics, it is ethical to save the life of the mother, even if as a result of that saving the life of the mother, it kills the baby. That really isn't an abortion, that's saving the life of the mother. But truly, the life of the mother has to be threatened. And this is true throughout medicine. It doesn't just apply to abortion. If I go in to save the life of the mother because she has appendicitis, and as a result of my trying to eliminate the appendicitis, I end up killing the mother, I wouldn't be viable or wouldn't be responsible for that. And sometimes those things happen, and that same thing is true with the baby in the womb. So, okay, getting back to Roe versus Wade, or getting back to pro-life states now. We have many different situations in pro-life states. Some say it's only the life of the mother it's allowed. Others say it's the life of the mother threatened, and if it has a heartbeat like 5 or 6 weeks. Others say it's the life of the mother and no brain waves, 10 to 12 weeks. Others say it's the life of the mother and it's not viable, 20 to 24 weeks. So we have a lot of different situations there. But in all the states, women can use the abortion pills. So that is still allowed today. So what I see is that the division begun by Roe will remain with us for a long, long time. We're going to be seeing this affecting us for a long, long time. And when I look at this from a personal standpoint, I've made a number of trips to Washington, D.C. I've given homilies on opposing abortion. I've recently gone across the bridge for life. And personally, I rejoice in the fact that they made this decision to at least eliminate it across the board on a national basis, and to allow the people to participate in the decision at this time. That's the right move for our country, and I don't care what side of the fence you're on. It's the correct thing that the Supreme Court did at this time. And so I rejoice in that decision. But we also have to realize that in doing this, we've only really given Satan a black eye in terms of abortions. We in turn now have to be vigilant. It's going to require still more effort on our part to organize and to continue, because there will continue to be, as we covered on these different situations, there will continue to be a lot of abortions across the land. I think it will drop from a little bit less than 1 million that we have now each year. Maybe it'll drop to 500,000, maybe 250,000. I don't know. It's really hard to say, but we're still going to have a significant number of abortions. Many, many, many more than we ever had before Roe. Before Roe, we were probably in the thousands, a few thousands across the whole U.S. because it just didn't happen very often. But yeah, and I don't have any basis for those numbers, but certainly not very many. So in any case, Those are my thoughts on abortion and slavery, the struggles of our nation in both cases, the culture wars we have dealt with and continue to deal with in both areas. God bless and have a great day.